We are so to all of you. Very good afternoon, Shisha, and thank you for accepting the invitation and joining with us for the webinar. Uh, So, as the topic of the webinar goes, this we have specifically taken up for the medical and paramedical students. When I talk about the webinar series, we have already, during this lockdown, we have come up with a, series of webinars wherein we are every week conducting some or other webinar specific to related to stream of students, maybe CSE, may that be engineering, may that be civil, it can be country based. So we here try to give maximum information to the students so that in case if they're planning for the future for any specific country or looking forward to move abroad, it will be easy for them to have more information. So our agenda of conducting webinar is such so that the students can get familiarized with whatever options they have with them. Right? So as we come today, this is the very first webinar that we're conducting exclusive for medical and paramedical students. We have been done a lot for the engineering and other stream students, but this is the one exclusively for medical and paramedical students. So before I begin, I would like a privilege to introduce to our speaker today.
us a guidance about what all.
Thank you very much. Um, I first of all warm welcome to all the students, faculty, whoever is listening today. Thank you for attending. And I was told that this is more of a general audience, so I'm going to keep it more general, not specifically just the final year students of one faculty, but this is open to all university students. So I'm going to make it general and tell you what the prospects are. I don't want to specifically tell you about our university. I want to encourage actually further studies for anyone who is in any bachelor's program or a master's program. Our program is open to pretty much everybody who has a bit of science background. And we are a medical college, and we offer a 5 year MBBS program for Indian students starting out of class 12, which is high school. But since you are all university students, and if you have at least 3 years of education, for you the program will be 4 years, just like any other American or Canadian student. So um, let me share my screen, and I can walk you through some of the very simple slides that we have. Um, so that is me, and my name is Shisha Guha, and I'm the COO, as the lady said, St. James School of Medicine. I'm the COO over there, and we have a medical college that began in 1999. We've been around for 20 years, but we almost exclusively work with US and Canadian students so far. And we are now opening up our admissions to Indian students. And we have a special affiliation with Parul University, and hence we would love to welcome any students that have already studied some part of their education in Parul University or are about to complete. This is of particular interest to, let's say, students who have done physiotherapy, for instance, students who have studied any of the applied sciences. You have a very nice applied sciences school. Anybody who has completed medicine and Ayurveda, medicine and homeopathy, those fields, we are also happy to accept students from those streams. Again, it would be 4 years of education, which I will explain in a little bit of detail later on. So the schools that we are, let's talk about a little bit about medicine, first of all. I'm sure anybody who's listening, if you saw a medical program, you must have at some point in your life, no matter what you're doing today, you must have thought, I want to be a doctor. We all have a certain affinity to medicine. Doctors help people. They make a lot of money. They're very good people, glamorous people. So we always look at them, and I'm sure at some point in your life, you must have thought, I want to be a doctor. So, what is your motivation? That's what you need to think about. Is it helping people? Is it money? Is it ambition? Is it the fact that you can save lives and make a difference? Very good. That's a great motivation to have. But it doesn't matter what your motivation is. No one is here to judge. Whatever you have, medicine is a very noble profession. Join it for whatever your reasons are. As I said, there's no greater service you can offer to humankind than to be a doctor and care for them. And as you know, we all have our own doctors and surgeons, and we've all experienced medicine in our lives, and we know how indebted we are to some of our doctors. So I'm really asking you and opening this up so that you can be a part of that field. But what's the real need? If you see, in India, the US, the UK, there's a huge shortage of doctors, and this shortage will only get worse as the population grows in all of our countries and in the world. So these are some statistics, but I don't have to go through the exact numbers for you to see that it is a huge shortage. And so every country in the world is really looking at making new and recruiting new talented people for the field of medicine. Doctors, of course, make the most money out of any healthcare field. So if you're currently in a healthcare field that's not medicine, you have a prospect of growth here. You name it, Doctors make more than that. Now, why be a doctor? Yes, it's a rewarding career, money, help people, you save lives. But what I say to my students everywhere is that it's not necessary that you become a doctor and you take care of patients and you get, you work in a hospital or a ward and you're surrounded by medical professionals all your life. If that's not your calling, that's fine too. Doctors can do anything in the world. You can start a business, you can get into any field that you want, you can study further, you can enter research. The whole world is your oyster if you have a medical degree. So, those of you who are in these applied sciences, allied sciences, or any of the other medical fields, if you want to switch gears and join MBBS, this is something I want to put in your minds, that it is a great opportunity to become qualified to do just about anything in your life. Of course, it's an elite club of very elite professionals, which everybody knows already. We're always looking at our doctors with awe. And if you are where you are, having finished a couple of years of college, maybe on your way to completing your program, where can you study medicine if you decided? Well, India, no, they're not very welcoming to non traditional students. It's very competitive, long, long process. You have to take a whole bunch of exams, and then you may or may not make it. Russia, China, all of these countries, well, not so much either because first, well, right now this year it's a bit of a challenge to go to those countries. And secondly, the language requirement, you almost always have to learn the language of the country in order to have a good education. So, not very attractive at your point, right? So, let me introduce to you the Caribbean. Very beautiful location. It's a tourist location. It has always been a tourist destination for people around the world who flock there to spend time on the beaches, on the ocean, and these are just very, very conservative images. They don't do justice to what reality is. However, what people don't know is that there is a huge medical education fraternity in the Caribbean since the 1970s. So it's been full 40 years that the medical colleges in the Caribbean have been flourishing. And there are about 10 to 12 colleges of different sizes and different price points that you can look at. So it's not just us. I'm telling you right now, there are about 10 to 12 accredited schools that only cater to US and Canadian students so far. And we are one of the first schools that have opened up this line or this pathway for Indian students. And that is why probably you haven't heard of us or anybody else so far. But we wanted to open it up to Indian students, and that is why you are hearing from me today. So where's the Caribbean? It's on the on the Western Hemisphere, sorry, right between North and South America, and that's the Caribbean. I'm sure you can Google this and see where it is. We are approved by WHO, ECFMG, which is in the US, Canada, the UK, GMC approves us. We are also approved by MCI in India. We have two schools and we are affiliated with Parul University. Yes, we are also affiliated with Jain University in the south and Rayat Bahara University in the north. Now, which are the pathways? I'm hoping that some of you in the audience today have studied some of these degrees. Physiotherapy is a great field in itself. If you clubbed that with an MBBS degree that would take you 4 years in a school like ours, you would be unstoppable anywhere in the world. Nurses have a great knowledge of practical medicine. They have, I would say, more knowledge than most doctors do because they are so hands on in their training and their work. So, if you were to couple that with an MBBS degree, again, no one could stop you. I think you would ace every exam there is to ace. Bachelor's degree in science, of course, that is the pathway that US and Canadian students take. You have to study basic physics, chemistry, and biologies. And if you do that, then you are eligible. So you need to have at least 90 credits, which basically equates to about 90 credit hours. Which equates to about 3 years of full-time study. In some universities, it's even two. So we do that on a case-by-case basis where we evaluate the equivalency of your courses And anybody who wants to see whether they're eligible, please reach out to me. I can always talk to you individually, and we can take it from there on a case by case basis. For this year only, the NEET exam has been waived. Otherwise, the Medical Council of India does require Indian students to be NEET qualified. But this year, because of the pandemic and the corona and everything else that has been going on, we they have allowed us to waive this requirement. You will have to take it at some point, but at least now, for now, it's not a requirement, which is a great thing for students who are coming from different backgrounds, and they're not just coming out of class 12. So that is an opportunity that if you have ever considered studying medicine, then this year would be a great opportunity, because one of these hurdles that you would have had to cross is actually gone. These are the subjects. I don't have to go over this because most of you already know this. Why the Caribbean? As I said, if you've done any part of your college program, you are more qualified than someone from class 12. Obviously, we need 90 credits, which, as I said, varies from university to university. So we can have a talk about whether your qualifications already meet the criteria or what else you need to do.
Shisha,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt. I guess your slides, it's not getting moved. It's stuck.
It's
Slides.
stuck.
Yes.
Okay, where did we stop? Can you tell me?
It was just seeing. We were just seeing a first slide. Now it is like via Caribbean Medical School.
Oh, okay. All right. So let me just go back. You could hear me, right?
Yes, yes. Your voice was coming
Okay.
through.
Okay. So then, I mean, the slides are not that important. I'm
Yes.
speaking. So I guess this is one of the most important slides. So why Caribbean school? I know a lot of people think, oh, the Caribbean, I don't know what that is. It's only known for, I don't know, cricket maybe. I think that's what most people in India identify it with. But then, as I said, what people don't know is that since the 1970s, the Caribbean has been a hub for medical education. It started off very, very small. Now it is a thriving community of about 10 to 12 schools that are accredited. We are very, very tightly regulated because we train doctors for the US. Anyone who comes to us, they end up taking all the board exams, the licensure exams only for the US system. So we are very closely regulated by the US, by Canada, these two countries, because that is where all of our students go back and become doctors and practice medicine. So that is the program you will be entering, and it doesn't change for Indian students, which is why we require that 90 credit hour requirement. And if you join us, then you are studying full time with your US and Canadian counterparts, and you do 2 years in the Caribbean, and you also, the final 2 years, you move to the United States and you do your clinical sciences, is what it's called. The final 2 years you do in our teaching hospitals in the US. So we have about 15 to 20 US hospitals in various states in the US where our students are trained. So the advantage is that you have spent 2 years actively in a US hospital system, learning every aspect there is. So when you apply for your license, you are actually a preferred candidate. You're not someone who has studied in a different country who needs to be trained and there's downtime. You are ready to go. So that is really the advantage that Indian students would have in studying in a medical college in the Caribbean. That you are ready for the US system, and by virtue of being approved by MCI, if for whatever reason you decide not to stay in the US or you cannot stay in the US, you are fully welcome to come back to India, and you are recognized by MCI and you can practice medicine here. So pretty much that is all these doors are open to you. The UK is the same, so is Canada. Canada has very limited slots for doctors, so we don't guarantee anything in Canada because they have their own very competitive medical registration. But in the US, it is pretty much open and it's very dependent on your own merit on the student. So this is a bit of a cost estimate. Total, if you look at gross numbers, studying in the Caribbean for 4 years will cost you about 70,000 US dollars, which is
Shisha, I saw it earlier, but I guess your slide is again stuck.
okay. This one.
Yeah, now it's fine.
So this the total tuition basically comes to about 70,000 US dollars. That is your cost, and this depends on whether you are doing whether you're doing that first year. Depends on your qualification. Living cost is an additional about 40,000 or so. Overall, if you estimate it in Indian rupees, you are looking at about 70 to 80 lakhs for the entire program. It'd probably be a little less because you are already advanced students and you are only doing the program for about 4 years, and that depends on what your background is. As I said, if anybody is interested, please give me a call or we can sit together and we can work out what it is that you're looking at. I don't know if you can see this slide. Can you see this slide?
Yes.
Okay, so that is my information. In case anybody wants to contact me directly or wants to have a look at our various social media platforms, we are everywhere. There's tons of information online about St. James. It is, we have, we're on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, YouTube. You can reach out to alumni and everything on there. It's a very active student community. And by the way, Corona did not affect the school in any way in the Caribbean because the Caribbean was able to contain it very well. And the US is also open. Medicine did not stop. So the program is definitely on. There will be no delays. There are no delays. So if anybody is thinking of studying medicine in any way, the Caribbean is a great opportunity. Now, let me just come out of this. And can you see me?
Yes.
Yes, right? Fine. Okay. So now I'm okay. So this is basically what I had to say about the college. I know students don't really like hearing too much about one particular institution. So I've tried to keep it general. There are many schools out there, and medicine is a very it is a tough um, career choice. But if you are cut out for it, then there is nothing more rewarding than studying medicine. It will set you up for life. There is no other, I think, career that gives satisfaction to an individual the way medicine does. And all of you listening, probably if you've logged on, you either thought of medicine at some point in your life and you thought, well, now I'm in something else and I've never, now my chance is gone, so let me just settle for whatever I have. Well, the answer is no. This is why we're presenting it in this platform to PU students, because no, you still have the opportunity. Even if you've completed a degree, this will only, education never goes to waste. So this is a great opportunity for students of various backgrounds: physiotherapy, applied sciences, the other alternative medicines that I mentioned before. So it's definitely an opportunity. We would love to have PU students join us. I'm sure one burning question is, do you have scholarships? So yes, we do have certain scholarships. Now they're not going to be 50% off. It's not going to be that kind of scholarship, but we can certainly work out things we can do for students. We are very happy to welcome new students and Indian students. They're very hardworking. And for us, we are graded on the type of students we admit and type of students we graduate. So it is in our best interest to admit as many hardworking, meritorious students that will complete the program. So we invite anyone and everyone I gave you my information. You can reach out to IRC as well for my coordinates in case anybody wants to contact me directly. I'm very happy to speak to anybody who further wants to talk about this.
Thank you so much, Shesha. Thank you. So basically, students, if you are from any stream, may that be, may that be not directly related to medicine, it can be paramedical, it, as she mentioned, it can be BSc, it can be anything that is related to science or related to basically anatomy or anything. So if you're really interested, like you want to take a step forward and want to do medicine, maybe during your 12th you might have missed out in NEET exams or something like that, but here is an opportunity to still take it forward. So if you're planning for MBBS, you will not find such kind of a transition anywhere in India wherein you will be allowed to do MBBS later on. So any one of you who are looking forward to pursue their dream that they could not do 2 or 3 years back, then this is the right chance where you can grab this opportunity. So thank you, Shisha, for explaining that in detail. So here I have few questions, which one of the major thing you have answered, that was a scholarship, right? The second question is, how were the intakes? How many intakes do we have there?
We have 3 intakes in a year: January, May, and September. So you're welcome to join any of the semesters. Application process deadlines are about 2 months before every semester. That's where it ends because there is some paperwork and some documentation, and it is, there's some immigration and things like that we have to process. But there's rolling admissions also. So even if you don't make it for a particular one, doesn't mean you don't make it. We will transfer you over to the next semester. So as soon as you make up your mind, I would say there's no waiting. Just do it.
Yeah. So approximately how much time will it take for the visa process and everything months after the finishing?
Yeah, there is no visa, as in there is no visa that's required. If they are a student of St. James, then they get a special travel document that allows them to transit also through wherever they have to fly through, an entry into the island of St. Vincent. Right now, it is St. Vincent, and we process everything internally, so the student doesn't really have to do anything. Of course, they have to supply us with their documentation. We take care of everything. It doesn't take too long. We take care of everything. Yeah.
Right. So that is again a very big advantage, because that much, approximately 6 to 7 months of that processing time is
Yes,
saved here.
yes. Absolutely, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So I was a little curious to know when you were explaining about how the Caribbean is growing when it comes to medical and paramedical aspects. So can you just tell me how much is the ratio of the students coming there for study recently? Is there any, how is the flow of
Well,
Indian
how
students?
many Indian students? Indian students, very few so far, because there are very so far. I mean, I can tell you that we nobody really looked at India as a prospect for a while, and it's only, I would say, in the last 2 to 3 years that a few of the schools that have the resources really looked towards India, because there are certain limitations in a foreign school medicine to come and scout for students in a country like India. You have to have a presence, you have to understand the market, because nothing really, it's a very different scenario. So I think 2 years ago is when schools started to look, and I know that there are only maybe 2 or 3 schools that are actively looking for students. So price points are very different. So we're certainly not competing with each other. And U.S. and Canadian students come largely on federal loans and other kinds of student loans, whereas in India the trend is more to pay out of pocket, out of savings. We're not so much of a loan oriented society. So that's why the very, very high tuition schools don't really work for Indians. And that's why our price points are still within the limits of managing on your own. And it's spread out. The cost, I said, 80 lakhs is spread out over 5 years. It's not a bulk payment at once where you have to pay it out. It's an annual payment. So I would say Indian students, there are maybe like every semester. We have not yet. We have 2-3 students who came in as transfers, but as a starting batch, this is only it's only starting. And I know that a few schools do admit Indian students, but less than 100, I would say. Having said that, in the US and Canada, the students we recruit are almost 60 to 70% of Indian origin. Because whether you know, Indians who move there, they still have that same culture of I want my son or daughter to be a doctor, and many are children of doctors. You know, children whose parents are doctor, one parent or both parents are doctor, or they come from a long line of doctors. So having said, as I said, you know, Indian students are very, you know, any institution of higher education will have more than 50% Indian students, no matter where you go. So it's the same for us. Yeah.
So as you mentioned, that last 2 years of the studies is for clinical studies that is mostly happening in US. So is this a part of curriculum, or the students have to spend pay more for this thing
No, no,
again?
that's part of the program. So the program of 4 years is divided into just like any MBBS program. You have a basic science part and you have a clinical part. And the basic sciences are done in the Caribbean, and there in the US there are certain checkpoints and examinations that have to be attempted before will allow the students to proceed to year 3. So year 3 and year 4 are part of the curriculum. It's all included in that course. These are our hospitals that we that train our students, and the staff are our faculty. They are integrated into that hospital setting. They are for our students. So it's definitely part of the program.
Okay. So, coming into that, if any student after passing out from St. James, if I'm a student, I want to apply for US, as you
Yes.
mentioned, there is a certain benefit that the students can get,
Yes.
right? So, when it comes to may that be a licensing, so they required to go for the licensing, or they can
Yes.
practice right away?
Yes. See, in any country, as it should be, medicine is very tightly regulated. So no matter what country you are in, if you study in one country and you want to practice in a different country, no matter which school you're from, which college you're from, you have to take licensure exams in that country, because healthcare differs from country to country. For instance, somebody who's studied medicine in Harvard, if he wants to come and practice medicine in India, he still has to go through screening tests that are set up by Medical Council of India. It's really like a uh, standardized exam that's set to evaluate whether the doctor is qualified to practice medicine, because this is the one profession where you are interacting with patients and it is a matter of life and death. So you want those check check checks and balances in place, and that is why these exams are set. So because our students are majority from the US and they end up practicing in the US, we use the USMLE, which is the US Medical Licensure Exam, as our internal checkpoints as well. So USMLE has 3 different levels, and they need to clear step 1 in year 2, and they need to clear step 2 in year 3, and then there's another one that they can finish at the end of the program. So these exams are there for any country, and especially the US and Canada, they have each country has its own. In the UK, it is PLAB. In Canada, it is the MCCQE and EE, the 2 exams, and in the US, it's USM.
Right. So they will have to go through a licensing test, right? That's what
Yes,
I understood.
everybody has to do that. Even a student in a medical school in America needs to clear these exams in order to practice medicine in the US. So
So,
everybody has to do it.
so can you just let me how much duration will this take to take the test and everything? Like,
It's all
you,
included in the 4 years.
Acha,
It's
it doesn't.
during the 4 years. Yes, it's during the 4 years you need to clear all of these exams. These are
Okay.
so as well. In addition to our own internal exams, we use these also as checkpoints. So our whole program is geared for these exams. So it's not that you have to step away and study for something else, it is part of the program.
Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. One more question. Like when it comes to accommodation, so is accommodation part of in campus, or it is like student? How is the setup their accommodation?
Well, okay, so in the Caribbean, everything is very small. It is a small island. It is so we have a campus, and there's a lot of housing that gets built around it, and there are apartments that are made specifically for students that generations of students live in. So we don't construct dorms or anything like that. These apartments are fully furnished, and these islands are very small. Everything is 10-20 minutes drive or walking. So we of course organize, we have housing coordinators and so on that will do that, but it is all apartments that are given out to students.
So is there a community setup there? Community, like generally how we have in other colleges and universities. How is there a
Yes.
community setup?
Well, I mean, the whole island is sort of, there's nothing there. I mean, there's hotels and there's tourists and there's very, very few local inhabitants. For instance, St. Vincent has a population of 80,000. Anguilla, which is our other island, has 13,000, 1-3. So there's no comparison. So of course the students are integrated. I mean, and these are very friendly. They're tourist countries. They've historically they're very used to welcoming newcomers, and everyone knows students are there for just 2 years. So it's very, and then we do a lot of, as a medical college, we work with the local hospital. So we do a lot of camps, do a lot of activities with the community, health awareness and things like that. So the students are very, very involved. You can go to our social platforms and you can take a look at all the things these are requirements also by a medical college to perform in the community. So in the Caribbean, we do that. In the US, when they move to the hospital setting, hospitals are huge institutions that have 3 or 4 different hospitals. There's a children's hospital, there's a women's hospital, there's that's how they're set up, and those in itself are communities. Many hospitals will provide students with housing, or there's there's living arrangements in and around the hospital, because hospitals, you are expected to be available full time. You cannot commute 1 hour. So everything is right around the hospital. So yes, absolutely, at every stage there is a big community, and medicine is a very uniting factor. I mean, medicine is not something you can do in a vacuum. You have to work together. You have to work with the nurses, the orderly, the surgeon, the everyone works together. So it's a very close knit, tight community.
Right. Right. One more last question I would like to take up here, Shisha, is like, are students allowed to work while they're studying, or is there kind of a setup there?
Right. No, they're not allowed to work because you are a foreigner going to a foreign country, whether it is the Caribbean or the US, you are a foreigner, you are there to study. So, one, that because of the immigration guidelines, no one is allowed to work, you're only there to study. That's one. Number two is medicine is a full time occupation. From day one, you are required to only be a medical student. So if someone is thinking, I will work my way through college, no, that doesn't work here. Medicine, you need to be fully involved because it's a very fast paced program. You need to score well, you need to know your material because one is linked to the other. Semester one flows into semester 2 and 3 and 4. So if you fall behind anywhere, that's a problem. We constantly, there's after school study groups, there are all kinds of things that are complete. It's a complete immersive experience for 4 years. And when you're doing clinicals, you are expected to be on call on certain days, just like you would as a working doctor or physician, because you are working with your residents, your attendings. If they're on call, you're on call. So there is no free time, downtime, I can work part time, none of that. It's not encouraged, it's not even allowed. So there is no working.
So I guess I have tried to pick up all the questions. These were the very common questions that the students were pouring in.
Yep.
So I think we have taken up all the major questions. So, if you would like to add up something over here, Shrisha, as we come towards the close.
No, I mean, I think I've said quite a bit. It's a lot of information, and I know it's very new. It's a concept, pretty much, that the students have to kind of take in. So, whoever has any questions for me later on, maybe I covered it, maybe I didn't. Doesn't matter. I'm happy to go over anything that maybe wasn't clear or that I said, and then you have any doubts. No problems at all. That's what I'm here for, just to address any questions at all. So no, I'm not going to burden anybody with more information.
So thank you so much, Shirsha, for joining us. So students, like as we started off with the session today, and similar note, I would like to end up again. So may that be irrespective of whichever medical field, whichever medical or paramedical field you have. But still, if you are aiming to go for MBBS, this can be a good opportunity for you, right? You just need to complete your graduation over here and move to your master's, move for MBBS, and you'll be directly going to the second year. So that again, you are, complete. You're not saving 1 year over there. So here or anywhere, you will not find this kind of a setup wherein you'll be getting this flexibility. So, in case if you're looking forward for this opportunity, please do visit us at IRC. We will be helping you and guiding you more on this. And even if we need, we can also connect with Shirsha for more information with this regards. So, anyone who would like to grab this opportunity, please do come and visit us at IRC. Thank you so much, Shirsha, for joining in.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to any other further interactions with students, faculty, anyone who has questions.
Yes, Shirsha, we will be planning up later on in the coming days, right? Thank you
Very
so
good.
much.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you.
muk. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Bye.
Bye bye.